Hey, what's up, gentlemen? It's Cav, your fragrance guy, back with you once again. Today, we're going to do a deeper dive into a Fragrance 101 topic, right? So we're going to talk today about notes, top notes, middle notes, base notes, the secret to fragrance longevity and evolution. What are these? So have you ever wondered why you spray on a fragrance and an hour or two later, it's a completely different scent, right? Or why some perfumes, they'll last me 24 hours. Other ones will be gone in like 2 hours. So the answer to that really comes down to what we call the fragrance pyramid, right? So that top, middle, and base notes that you get in a fragrance. So that breaks down the different stages of the fragrance. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover each individual phase, right? What do the notes do? Why it's important? And how they work together to create kind of a full, evolving fragrance that you're going to love. So let's talk about top notes, the first impression. So think of a top note as the initial hello of the fragrance, right? It's the what you smell when you first spray it out of the bottle, right? So that's your top note. It's that initial burst of the scent. It's designed to be appealing and grab your attention. It is also the most volatile part of the fragrance. So top notes are kind of what make you fall in love with the fragrance on the first spray. They set the tone in the mood, but they're fleeting, right? So they're made of small, light molecules that evaporate quickly. This typically lasts somewhere between 5 and 30 minutes on average. So when you think about top notes, think about things like citrus, right? Bergamot, lemon, fresh herbs like mint, and some light spices. Those would fall into that top note range that is grabs your attention, beautiful smell, but fleeting. So let's talk about middle notes or heart notes, right? If we said that the top notes were the hello of a conversation, the middle notes are the main exchange in a conversation. It is the main conversation. It's what you're talking about, right? They're the true identity of the fragrance. As those top notes begin to fade and recede, those middle notes begin to emerge, right? So they then become the core theme of the fragrance, right? They're the body, the soul of the scent. So the middle notes define the fragrance's main accord, right? They're the part of the scent that you will be smelling for the majority of its life. So when we think about top notes, and they evaporate quickly, right? So now we're looking at middle notes. So their molecules are less volatile than top notes, but more volatile than base notes, right? So as the top notes evaporate, the middle notes stay for a little bit longer, and they can last for several hours. So when we think about middle notes, right, think about most florals, lavender, jasmine. Think about spices like, say, cinnamon or nutmeg are good examples. So let's look at base notes. So when we think base notes, think about like a building's foundation or your house's foundation, right? It's not always apparent, but it's there and it provides structure. And without it, your entire house would crumble down. You need a good solid foundation, right? So if we think about it from that perspective, base notes are the heavy lifters of the fragrance, right? They appear in the background initially, but become more prominent as those top and those middle notes start to evaporate and start to fade, right? So they anchor the entire fragrance and provide its lasting power. So when you talk about a long-lasting fragrance, you're really talking about base notes. So these notes give the fragrance its depth, its richness, and its longevity. Without them, a scent would be gone in a few hours. So they are the largest, heaviest molecules, right? They're the least volatile and can linger on your skin for 12 plus hours, right? Depending on the fragrance. So examples of this, so woods. So think about sandalwood, cedar, resins, right? Think about amber or frankincense, or whiskey, or musks, vanilla, vetiver. Things along those lines are common base notes. Okay, now we've covered top notes, middle notes, and base notes. But how do they work together? So let's look at that. Think about a fragrance as a musical composition, right? Where the top notes are kind of that opening fanfare. The mid notes are the main melody, right? The bass notes, they're kind of that deep resonating bass line that holds everything together. This is a good way to look at that. So it's not a simple, top notes begin, end, middle notes pick up, and bass notes, right? They all do work together. So how does that happen? So from a bass note perspective, that can act as a fixative. So in that world, it will slow the evaporation of the middle notes and making them last a whole lot longer than they would on their own. Top notes can add lift to the middle note, pulling out qualities of the middle note that it wouldn't have on its own, making it more vibrant, right? Then middle notes themselves, they can soften that heavy, raw intensity of the bass notes and make them a little more approachable. So let's look at a good example of that one. So one of my favorites. So Dior Eau Sauvage Perfume. This is the 2012 release of this guy. So let's look at how he opens. So he's got a clean bergamot citrus opening, which is beautiful. So that doesn't last very long on my skin. It transitions into more of a lavender type middle heart on this guy, which gives it a little bit of a floral to it. But then where our transition beyond that, I get into kind of a myrrh, patchouli, vetiver. So all of those work together in order to make one delicious fragrance, in my opinion. So the next time you smell a fragrance, remember, it's a journey, right? The scent when you first spray it on yourself, what you get, that's just the beginning of a beautiful evolving story. So understanding the notes, it helps you appreciate the artistry of the fragrance, and it helps you make smarter choices. Knowing what the initial spray isn't the whole picture. So what's a fragrance that you own that you can clearly tell the transition from top to middle to base? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. I'm Cav, your fragrance guy. Don't forget to like, subscribe for more content. Till next time, take care, guys.